Hey everyone, welcome to today's video on Epic user stories and story decomposition. Whether you are new to Agile or looking to refine your understanding of those core concepts, this section is designed to help you create better user stories and manage your product backlog more effectively. Let's dive in. Here what we will cover in today's presentation or the video. First, we will introduce epics and user stories and their roles in Agile framework. Then we will explore the why, understanding the purpose and relationship between the this element, epics and story. Next, we will examine what, best practice and common pitfalls to avoid. Finally, we will tackle the how part, practical technique for writing the effective stories and decomposing them correctly. We will wrap up with the conclusion and leave the time for the question. Yeah. So let's start by understanding the where epics and user story fit within the agile development life cycle. Okay. So agile life cycle consists of the several key phases like the sprint planning, daily stand-up, team retrospective, and the sprint demo, the continuous feedback that we can get from the stakeholders and incorporate that into the product backlog for the prioritization. Okay, within the cycle, ideas flow from initial brainstorming session into the product roadmap, then through the story mapping and prioritization until it becomes the playable user story ready for the development. This flow ensures the big concepts are broken down into the manageable, valuable piece of the work. Okay. So what exactly are user stories and epics? So user story is an expected piece of the functionality that yield the value to the overall product. Good stories are independent of the implementation order and follow what we call invest formula, okay, which we will explore shortly. Okay, agile methodology emphasize interactive process with the create feedback loop, adoption, and customer collaboration. This is where the stories shine. They facilitate this collaboration. Then the epics. Epics, on the other hand, are the large user stories that cannot be delivered within the single iteration. There's essentially a big chunk of functionality that need to be broken down into the smaller, manageable user stories. Think of epic as your big goal, and stories is a step toward achieve that goal. Okay, and the why of the epics and the user stories. So why do we need user stories? So they serve as a critical bridge between the customer need and whatever the technical development is happening. Okay, promoting the shared understanding across the team. The connection between epics and stories is a straightforward. Epic provides the high level goal while the story break them down into the actionable tasks for the development team, right? The benefits are many. Stories enhance the communication, okay, then provide the clear scope and allow the efficient prioritization for the work. They help to ensure everyone understands not just what we are building, but why we are building it and who we are building it for. Okay. The role conversion. So here is something crucial to remember. User stories should be starting point for the conversation rather than the executive documentation. The card isn't the requirement, it's a promise for the conversation. Let me share a fun example that illustrates this perfectly. Okay, there is a military humor example where different brackets interpret the same command, secure the building, in the widely different way. The Navy turns out light and lock the door. The army surrounded with the defensive force. Okay, the marine assist the building, destroying half of it, and the air force take out a 3 years length with the option to buy. Okay, this perfectly demonstrates why conversion is so important. The same word can mean very different things to the different people. Your stories should facilitate this important clarify discussion. Okay. Then finally, the what is the best practice and the pitfall. So now let's talk about what makes a good user story. The invest standard is the best friend. Okay. The invest standard. So in I means independent story should stand alone without the dependency, and the negotiable. They should be flexible, not the rigid contract. V means valuable. Each story must provide value to the user. E means estimable. Teams need to be able to size the work. Okay. S means small. The story should be fit comfortably within the sprint. Testable. There needs to be a very clear way to verify the completion. Okay. Similarly, the next thing is the smart criteria that help to ensure your stories are the specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and the time bound. Okay. For the acceptance criteria, the given, when, then format offered a clear structure that defines when the story is done. Quality acceptance criteria are critical to shared understanding and successful delivery. Okay. The common mistake to avoid, right? Let's talk about what not to do. Common mistake include the weak story construction with the verge narrative to poorly define acceptance criteria. Okay. The weak story construction and not well defined acceptance criteria. Another mistake is ignoring the user value. Okay, every story should provide a clear value as we see in the invest criteria, not just a technical task. Okay, perhaps the most common issue is creating the overly large story. Okay, these are the difficult to estimate, often the span multiple sprints and delay the feedback. Remember, smaller stories reduce the risk and increase your ability to deliver consistency. Okay, then the how part. So, how do we actually write a good user story? So, start with the clear structure for your narrative. Okay, so as a then the user role, I want the functionality the user want so that the benefit that they will get. This format ensure you are connecting the features to the actual user need. Okay, then well-defined scope. Be explicit about what's in and what's out. This clarity helps to prevent misunderstanding and scope creep during the development. Okay, then the techniques for the decomposing the story. For the decomposing the story, consider the techniques like the splitting by the workflow step or the business rule or the happy or unhappy path. This approach helps you to break down the large stories into the manageable pieces while maintaining the value of your delivery. Okay, then let's see some of the examples. So let's compare the good versus the bad acceptance criteria. Okay, so the bad, the system will allow user to search. Okay, this is a bad thing. That system will allow user to search. This is just one liner of acceptance criteria. This is the bad. The good one is like given I am on the home page when I entered a product name in the search box and click the search, then I see the list of the matching product stored by the relevance. Okay, that's my right kind of the things to writing the acceptance criteria. Okay, the difference you can see the clear. Good criteria are the specific, testable, and leave the little room for the misinterpretation. Okay, when relating the stories to the business value, always connect them directly to the business goal and the user need. The connection help to prioritize the work and ensure you are delivering what matters the most. Okay. For the story sizing, just remember the smaller is better. Smaller stories are easier to estimate, manage, and consistency, consistency, and reducing the risk and increasing the traceability. Well, let's move to the conclusion. To wrap up, let's recap what the key point we have covered. Epic provide the direction while the user story drives the actionable task. Okay, the agile process require continuous improvement with the feedback loop and adjustment throughout. Perhaps most importantly, remember that stories should prompt conversation to drive the classification and alignment. They are not comprehensive document. They are the conversation standard or the conversation starter. Okay, let's give me my final thought on it. As a final thought, this concept aren't limited to the agile framework. Even in the waterfall methodology, epics and user story can be valuable tools during the requirement phase, helping organize features in a user created way. Okay, you can ask some questions now. I love to hear from you in the comments that you can ask me for questions that what challenges you are facing in your current project, and do you have what question do you have regarding this topic, so you can ask me in the comment section, and I will do my best to address them. Okay, thank you so much for the watching this video on the epic user stories decomposition. I hope you found it valuable and can apply this concept in your work. If you enjoy this content, please give me the thumbs up and consider subscribing for the agile and project management tips. Okay, thank you.